Security measures taken against leaders of the criminal clique, including Siyum Masfin and Abai Sahaye. And the Ethiopian Broadcast Authority says it will allocate live airtime for contesting political parties in the upcoming election. This is Addis News Hour. Many thanks for watching us. With the news, I'm Shifarrao Lako. Security measures have been taken against 4 leaders of the criminal clique, including Siyum Masfin and Abai Sahaye. The measure is taken after Ethiopian National Defense Force called for peaceful surrender and court trial was rejected by members of the clique. The measures were taken on these clique members and their security forces in a shootout on the banks of Takaze River. In addition, 3 military officers who defected from the ENDF and a former regional official are arrested. Members of the clique who are still in hiding are called on to surrender peacefully. In the meantime, the people of Tigray are encouraged to rebuild and develop their region in collaboration with the interim administration. Mekelle city residents have extended their gratitude to the Ethiopian National Defense Force, which has eliminated the choking TPLF mafias in the state of Tigray. According to the residents, the autocratic TPLF officials have been gambling in the name of the people of Tigray to stay in power over the past many years. Habtamu Ashagri has compiled their views as follows.
በመጀመሪያ ደረጃ ለመከላከያ ሰራዊት ምስጋና ማቅረብ ፈልጋለሁ ምክንያቱም ይሄኛው ጁንታ
I want to express my gratitude to the Ethiopian Defense Forces. I am a resident of this region. As per my perception, the TPLF cliques never invite and monopolize residents in this region. Thus, I am pleased due to Ethiopian Defense Force for removing this tyrant region.
መላ ትግራይ እንዲወገድ ላደረገልን መከላከያ ክብሬን መግለጽ ፈልጋለሁ
እጅግ በጣም ኢትዮጵያን ሲያሰቃዩ ኢትዮጵያንም ሲያሰቃዩ ከመጋረጃ ጀርባ ሆኖ ነበር የሚያሰቃዩት
The TPLF mafias have been hurting Ethiopia behind the scene. I can mention Mr. Sabat Naga for this wrong act. They have been building their dynasty from the grassroots level. They have very hard and complicated structure in this area. Now, things are very good. The collections of individuals in this group are abandoned. When we see TPLF structure, it was totally autocracy rule. It was very hard for us before to watch other media. Without Dimtsi Weyane and Tigray television, we are suffering a lot in the previous time.
እዚህ ያለው ህዝብ ሲመለከተው ግን እጅግ በጣም አፈና የበዛበት
እንኳን አይደለም የሀገሪቷን ብሔር ብሔረሰቦች የትግራይንም ህዝቦች ለያይቶ እርስ በርሱ እንዳይግባባ
Not only the nations, national leaders and peoples of Ethiopia, even they destabilize the Tigrayans at all. They have been investing more to clothe the request of the public and its interest. After all, they conspired things a lot in this region.
They are simply a group that commercializes the people of Tigray. I think the people are liberated from such agony. I believe that Ethiopian brothers and sisters understand this political conspiracy orchestrated by TPLF.
ወደዚህ መጥተው እንኳን 3 አመት ገደማ ማለት ነው ትግራይን ለናካክስ ነው የመጣ ነው እዛ ስልጣናችን ጥለን የመጣ ነው ነበር ያሉ ተባረው እንደመጡ እንኳን አልነገሩን
Before 3 years, they told us to unite the people of Tigray by leaving their federal power, but they never told us they were fighting at all. They have been preparing us to instigating war and conflict, but not alleviating our poverty and backwardness. After all, they were dreaming how to set back their federal power by rejecting prosperity concerns of the Tigray people. Now, everyone is moving and working peacefully. This shows how the defense forces is maintaining law and order in the state of Tigray.
Welcome back. The Ethiopian Broadcast Authority has voiced readiness to allocate airtime to contesting political parties in the upcoming election slated for mid-2021. The authority said live debates, which are rare in Ethiopia, may become a showcase of somewhat mature democracy. The debates will also give contenders as well as voters a much better chance of practicing democracy. Goshu Melisau reports.
Ethiopia is preparing to hold a general parliamentary and regional election comes early June this year. The role of media is crucial in during pre-polling and post-election periods of the event. Talking to ETV English, Ethiopian Broadcast Authority Director General Getachew Dinqu said the authority will allocate airtime to the political parties.
We want the public to get authentic information. So live debates, definitely they help. It's also the experience of the mature democracies like the US. So I'm assuming that we may possibly have some live debates. In addition to that, Broadcast Authority together with the Electoral Board of Ethiopia, we will allocate free airtime.
The political parties will have free airtime on broadcast as well as print media so that they could propagate their ideas in political manifesto. The authority, he said, will use the lottery system to allot time.
We will allocate free airtime and newspaper spaces for the parties to get a chance to connect with the electorate, with the people to cast votes for them. Okay, so we make sure that the process is transparent. We'll be using a software which does not discriminate, which will be fair to every party member. So which party gets what time on which media outlet? Is it a prime time or the time right after the news or later? It's to be decided by lottery system.
The director did not hide the fact that the new draft media bill may not properly and sufficiently handle the mess on social media. He rather suggested public discussion should take place before elections.
Social media, it's a gray area. I mean, a new bill has come out. It works for all the platforms. It's a very complicated one, very much ethnicized, and then ethnic tensions are there. And then the messages coming out of social media, they tend to be more of group communication, intergroup communication, rather than very civilized, responsible kind of communication. You know, it's about this group or that group, and lots of generalizations. Yeah, I think part of the discussion should be prior to the election time.
Getachew also said his authority is closely working with Media Council and Ethiopian Broadcast Association on ways of reporting election professionally.
We have a close relationship. We work together. The regulatory model that we prefer to use is a co-regulation, which means institutional government regulation on the one hand, and then self-regulation on the other hand. And you could have more levels of regulation, like regulation at the media house level. Each media has its own editorial policy. And then also the professional individual journalist, you have your own standards in your mind. So in a way, you're constantly regulating yourself. Individual reporters, the media house, and then self-regulatory mechanisms like the Media Council, media associations, they're very important.
Now, the COVID-19 task force under the Ethiopian Ministry of Health say that they are working to check the existence of the new coronavirus variant. Emmanuel Jorge reports.
As viruses get an ample opportunity to infect more people, they change their genetic makeup in a process called mutation. This also has worked for coronavirus, mentioning that this change can be dangerous to the extent of making efforts to get vaccines meaningless. Munir Kasa from COVID-19 task force under the Ethiopian Ministry of Health said. The ministry is working on detecting whether the new variant of COVID has already occurred in the country or not yet.
The new variant that is detected in UK and in South Africa, Nigeria, is more contagious than the previous one. And the fact that it will alter its genetic DNA this fast, and then even vaccines and testing could also be useless if it happens with this fast spread, is very alarming. But in order to know that this change happens, you have to do sequencing. We call a laboratory test genetic sequencing. And so because most of Africa do not have this capacity, so we don't know that we have such a variant. So the ministry is now trying to do this genetic sequencing, and in the next couple of weeks we will be trying to know that whether this new variant is here.
The spread of COVID-19 in Ethiopia is not as worse as it was predicted months ago. But the Ethiopian Public Health Institute and Ministry of Health said the current situation of the spread is worsened by far, even more than the reported cases.
The current COVID-19 situation in Ethiopia is becoming worse because the status is on community transmission. Because when we see the situation during epidemic, like no case scenario are there, and the sporadic case and cluster case, so that the community transmission stage is the worst one. So we need to work hard to prevent our community. And when we see the testing of positivity rate, so per day we are seeing 10% of cases are became positive. So that is also another scenarios which tell us the situation is became worse.
One of the problems with the number of reporting, the daily reporting number, is that it seems that is the actual number, but it is not. So in one town in Ethiopia, in Jimma, we did an antibody test to know how much of the population is infected, and it shows 30% of the population is infected. So it is so maybe Addis also could be even worse than this, or so it means that a significant amount of people are infected with this virus, but also a significant amount also are not infected.
Munir also told ETV that the ministry is working on two things primarily related to the new variant and to prevent COVID from causing additional crisis.
The ministry, I think, now rightly focuses on two things for this new variant. One is to build our capacity to detect it, so which we are working. But another, the most important thing, whether it's the new variant or the old one, if you wear a face mask, you're going to prevent it. So testing now is mostly, we do it for people who are sick. Otherwise, doing large number of tests in every day is very expensive. It takes about $20 to $30 per test, and that's not something that we can afford. So the message from the ministry, whether for the new variant or for the old one, in order to protect yourself or your loved ones at homes, your elderly parents, we need to wear masks, and masks are known to prevent this illness. They are affordable, they are at a cheap price, and we are trying to also to give free for students and others. So wearing a mask can reduce your chance of getting this illness or spreading it to others.
So far, there are over 128,000 confirmed cases, among them over 2,000 passed away in Ethiopia.
This year's celebration is equally warm and appealing as last year's. It's very exciting to be here. It's peaceful here and a wonderful holiday.
It is my time to celebrate Epiphany here. I'm so happy, and I would like to say Happy Epiphany to all.
This festival, time to time, is being liked by tourists who come here from across the world. It's so exciting that you wouldn't want to miss it for the world.
Epiphany ceremony of Christ celebrated throughout the world. The unique part in Ethiopia is we adore it, venerate Ark of the Covenant. This is one. The second one is there is a thing throughout the world. That is, this is the water who deprived me not to baptize. This is said by an Ethiopian eunuch during the time of Christ's ascension. The composer of this song is an Ethiopian eunuch, Bacchus. This is another peculiar thing for Ethiopian Orthodox Church.
Ambassador Yibeltal Aamiro underscores the need for peaceful resolution of the differences regarding the Ethiopia-Sudan border issues. At a briefing session organized by the Sudanese Ministry of Foreign Affairs and National Borders Commission for Diplomatic Missions, Consulates and International Organizations accredited to Sudan, Yibeltal Aamiro, Ethiopian ambassador to Sudan, has underscored the need for Ethiopia and Sudan to resolve their differences on the boundary peacefully as per the bilateral agreements and joint boundary mechanisms put in place to handle the matter. In this regard, the ambassador particularly emphasized the significance of the exchange of notes made between the foreign ministers of the two countries on July 18, 1972, that provides for amicable solution to the problem arising from settlement and cultivation of north of Mount Daglish. He further stated that as per the 1972 exchange of notes, prior to the redemarcation of the Green Line north of Mount Daglish, the Joint Special Committee should submit to the Joint Ministerial Commission a report containing an amicable solution to the problem arising from settlement and cultivation. Although the ambassador indicated the Joint Special Committee convened 8 rounds of meetings to carry out the task of proposing an amicable solution, it has not yet finalized its mandate. Ambassador Yibeltal Aamiro further stated that while the work of the Joint Special Committee was still in progress, and when the Ethiopian National Defense Forces moved to the Tigray region for law enforcement operation, the Sudanese army, taking advantage of the internal situation in Ethiopia, entered inside Ethiopian territory and looted property, burned civilian camps, killed and attacked Ethiopians while displacing thousands in flagrant violation of the 1972 exchange of notes. Besides, the ambassador added, contrary to the spirit of friendship and cooperation existing between the two sisterly countries, the Sudanese army took and controlled vacated Ethiopian military camps. The ambassador also underlined that Ethiopia, which has been on the side of the Sudanese people during all times of difficulties, does not deserve such an attack from Sudanese army while it was busy of managing its own internal affairs. Ambassador Yibeltal in his briefing also mentioned that all the recent unprecedented action of the Sudanese army will complicate the bilateral relations, including the pending task of the redemarcation of the common boundary, with huge implications to peoples of the two countries and the region at large unless corrected urgently. He finally underscores Ethiopia's firm commitment to peacefully resolving the boundary issues between Ethiopia and Sudan on the basis of the bilateral agreement reached and the joint boundary mechanisms put in place to handle the matter. The ambassador further indicated Ethiopia's view on the way forward as follows. First, the recent intrusion by the Sudanese army needs to be reversed, and the pre-November 2020 status quo should be maintained as per the 1972 exchange of notes. Second, the Joint Special Committee needs to finalize the task of proposing an amicable solution as per the 1972 exchange of notes to the problems arising from settlement and cultivation north of Mount Daglish, which is a prerequisite for the redemarcation of the Green Line north of Mount Daglish. Third, the joint boundary mechanisms put in place for redemarcation of the boundary need to be reactivated to discharge their mandates. And finally, a quick recap of the top stories before we go. Security measures taken against leaders of criminal clique including Siyum Masfin and Abai Sahaye. And the Ethiopian Broadcast Authority says it will allocate live airtime for contesting political parties in the upcoming election. And with that, we come to the end of this news edition. Many thanks for watching us. Bye-bye.